Welcome back to Africa Speaks. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the narrative about Somalia finally rising from the ashes of its past and being able to develop and become a stable nation within the Horn of Africa region. And to help us discuss this, we have Yasin Juma, a journalist who's covered Somalia for the better part of 10 years. But before we get back to that discussion with Yasin, I just want to take a bit of feedback and then go into that. Mwinzi Joseph, a person who watches this show very frequently, thank you very much for watching, says that at least there's life in Somalia because many are returning home. Having a parliament is a show of rising up. And Yusuf Mohammed, who's also tuned in, says Somalia is moving forward, and this night basketball game says it all. He tweets a picture, has been doing the rounds on social media, of a night basketball match that took place in Mogadishu a couple of weeks ago. And Yasin, maybe that's the best place to pick up from in terms of reconstruction. Who is driving the reconstruction of Somalia as we speak?
Indeed, we are seeing quite a different picture of Somalia, but apparently it seems not much is being fed let's say to Kenyans or to the rest of Africans of what exactly is happening in Somalia right now. Somalia is experiencing an economic boom. And I would say this has come out much because of first of all, the diaspora, the Somali diaspora that are coming back to Somalia, that are investing in Somalia, and this has also had an impact on other people in the diaspora, other Somalis in the diaspora that are coming back after seeing what is happening in Somalia. So I attribute this first to the Somali diaspora. Then secondly, we have the #1 magician of Somalia, who happened to be Turkey. Turkey has really had an impact since 2011 when the then Prime Minister and now President Erdogan decided to visit Somalia. They've had so much impact. And thirdly, I would say the road that has been paved by the presence of the African Union peacekeepers and a much organized Somali National Army. Yeah. All this is giving, it's paving way to a better Somalia.
All right, Yasin, before we move on with who exactly is driving this growth, let's just get into something that was in the news this week with the banning of remissions from Somalis in the diaspora, specifically the United States, to Somalis at home, to their relatives at home, and those funds being tagged as likely funds that support terrorist activities. There was a protest that took place in Somalia, I think, this past week. What impact has that policy by the United States had on remissions in the recent past, at least to the Somali people back in Somalia?
This is a major setback for Somalia, a major setback of Somalia. And I think it started, the ban started on Friday, that is yesterday. And a lot of Somalis depend on the diaspora, on the money remitted from the diaspora. I'd say up to 80% of Somalis who live in Somalia depend on this money. So cutting off this population from this amount of money, which goes up to billions of dollars each year, is quite a setback for Somalia, and I'm sure we're going to see some negative impact on it very soon.
Has Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, the president of Somalia, made any formal complaint to the United States about this? Is there evidence that the funds that are being remitted from the United States actually support terrorism?
From my sources who are close to the Somali government, they've taken this issue cautiously, and I'm informed that the Somali president will be contacting U.S. To discuss these issues, but because I believe he understands just how important the money that comes from from the US, from Australia, Canada, UK, and that is brought into Somalia has the positive impact, especially on the economy of Somalia, and especially now that the economy is experiencing a boom.
All right. Pictures on your screen right now are of Somalia, in Mogadishu specifically, and the kinds of developments that have taken place since. Yasin, paint a picture for me of the impact that Turkey has had on Somalia in terms of actual growth of things that perhaps weren't there in 2004 when you started covering Somalia.
Well, for me, I think I'm better placed to, to appreciate what Somalia is gaining at this moment as I look back to what it was. A good example I'll give you, Namu, is the Aden Abdille Airport. I remember 8 years back, and that was during the Islamic Courts Union, when I landed at the Aden Abdille International Airport. The lounge, believe me, was a stone. I had to sit on a stone and wait for the visa to be stamped. Now today you can see it's a different picture. It's a modern airport, and all this because of Turkey. Then we have the hospital. We have two very big hospitals in Mogadishu right now. There's the largest children's hospital in the region. I'm talking about the region: Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. The largest children's hospital, and we have another ultra-modern hospital, all built by the Turks. And we also have the largest mosque around. So much is being done by the Turks, and currently we are having a 10,000 units housing project, which is being started by Turkey also.
Yeah.
So Turkey has had an impact in Somalia recently, since 2011.
All right, yeah, but there is, as always, a buyback, or there is something that Turkey is getting back from Somalia. Is this yet defined with respect to the kind of generosity that Turkey has extended towards Somalia? What is in it for Turkey, as they say?
That is a question that many ask, especially for those who follow the post that I do in my social media regarding the development that Turkey has brought to Somalia. What is happening is that since 2011, when Erdogan made his first visit to Somalia, he must have been impacted by what was happening at that particular time. It's an experience that myself and the former president of Ghana, Jerry Rawlings, went through. There was a famine in 2011 in Somalia. For the first time, I saw Erdogan crying. For the first time, I saw Rawlings cry. So I think Erdogan saw that he had a responsibility first as a Muslim leader to ensure that this Muslim country is out of the woods.
Yeah.
So I believe he did that firstly because of his religion and secondly, out of there's been a race between Iran among the Muslim countries. There's been a race between Iran and Turkey in development in the developing countries. So Turkey wanted to be seen on the forefront of this race. Then obviously the other reasons which I think would top would be, Somalia is very, very rich when it comes to natural resources. I'm talking of potential petroleum in the country. Actually, I'm very sure everyone would be eyeing this.
Let's get into that, Yasin. Not just about the natural resources, but the newfound stability in Somalia. I'm sure a lot of viewers watching at home and probably people around East Africa who have been observing what's happening in Somalia would be asking themselves, then what areas can I invest in as an African who has a closer interest in Somalia than Turkey, perhaps? Is there an opportunity? Are there opportunities for fellow African states to be able to invest in Somalia and help in this development?
Well, indeed, there are numerous opportunities in Somalia. Somalia has a lot of opportunities for African countries, and starting with Kenya, which was involved in in the peace process for Somalia that saw Somalia as it is today. But the problem has been we seem as African countries to be lagging behind as compared to other countries.
Yeah.
In my visit to Somalia, I'm seeing other Western countries. I'm talking about Britain. I'm talking about the US taking over much of the contracts in Somalia. I think there's a lot of opportunities in Somalia if African countries believe that they could settle down there and invest there.
All right, Yasin, as we wind up, it's not all sunshine in Somalia. As they say, there are still numerous challenges, one of which, perhaps most importantly, is that Somalia is not yet a unified state. What are the moves towards that? Is there any march towards making Somalia a unified state by Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, Abdiweli Ali from Puntland, as well as other leaders from Somaliland and other areas that perhaps don't feel part of the center of the Federal Republic of Somalia?
Yes, indeed. I will be lying if I say it's all good in Somalia. Somalia has had and is still having its fair share of challenges, and as you rightly put, especially now as we are talking, there's been these divisions among there's been political wrangles, and now we've seen the emergence of these regional states, yesterday the president, it's for 2 days now, the president of Somalia has had meetings, a series of meetings with the president of Puntland and Jubaland, and also the president of the newly created Southwest region, to try and iron out the differences that are being noticed by everyone. And everyone is concerned that if they cannot be able to iron out their differences, then all this development, all these achievements may just go down the drain.
All right, but we all hope that Somalia is able to take advantage of the gains that it has made and be able to remain as stable as it is right now, and of course become more stable. Yasin Juma, international correspondent, reporting a lot on Somalia. Thank you very much for joining us today on Africa Speaks. Before we wind up, let me just take some of your feedback. Sadiq Abdullahi says Somalia is indeed rising thanks to the government of Turkey, which we had discussed. Abdi Wahab Ibrahim says there's a nice view of Somalia, pictures picked by our producer Kasim Mohammed. Many thanks to you, Kasim. As well as Oliver Mutai says Somalia has a potential to grow into a productive nation with the help of investors. And Yusuf Mohammed again says it's only in Mogadishu where a mother can run hawala, forex, at the road without being manned by police. Not in Nairobi. Very interesting comparison that you have there. Lots of feedback. I can't share it all with you today on Africa Speaks, but it is a topic that we will be getting into now and again with respect to what's happening to our East and in the Horn of Africa region, those developments there. My name is John Allen Amu. Thank you very much for joining us. But before we go, we usually play you out with a song. And this one comes from the state, the very state that we've been talking about, Somalia. After many, many years of civil war, there was a pact that was drawn between leaders to be able to try and move the country forward. And a number of singers way back in the early 2000s came up with this song to talk about who will lead Somalia, who is right to lead Somalia. And this song describes that. For all those of you who understand Somalia, I'm sure you'll enjoy this. For those of you who don't, take that description that I've just given you as being the basic theme of this song. Once again, I'm John Allen Amu. Thank you very much for joining us on Africa Speaks. Let's do it again next Saturday. Good afternoon.